Alright, so today it's Foundation Friday. This is where we try out a new foundation every single Friday on my channel, 6 p.m. Pacific time. I think I finally have my neighbor's gardening schedule down. So I think the leaf blower is about to start in about an hour if my calculations are correct. But today we're going to be talking about a new foundation from Bobbi Brown. So this is their Skin Longwear Fluid Powder Foundation SPF 20. I feel like Bobbi Brown hasn't released a new, not just foundation, but a new product. Where have they been? Where are they? This one comes in a squeeze tube packaging. This actually feels like a very nice squeeze tube. Wow, like the cap is kind of heavy or something. So this foundation retails for $40. You get 1.4 fluid ounces of product, which is quite a bit. It's about half an ounce more than standard. And it comes in 28 shades. When I first ordered this, I got the total wrong shade. I think I just picked out the lightest one. I ended up having to exchange it for this shade, so hopefully I got my correct shade this time. I chose Warm Sand. But the description is very short. Love a short description. It says, a first ever liquid to powder foundation from Bobbi Brown that self-sets into a comfortable light coverage. So it's supposed to be self-setting and light coverage. That's basically it. Liquid to powder is definitely not a new concept. They're just saying it's new to them. My one thing with liquid to powder is that sometimes it can make concealer application tricky if you already have a powder finish kind of up here. So I'm actually going to apply my concealer first underneath my eyes just in case that happens with this foundation. I've definitely had that happen and it's a disaster. So it says it's best for oily or good for combination. So my skin, let's just do a little skin update here. I used to have quite oily skin. I would definitely get oily by the end of the day. We're talking like 4 or so years ago. And then I went on Accutane. My skin got severely dry and then it kind of stayed dry for about a couple years after Accutane. Now that I think I'm about 2.5 years removed from being off it. Now my skin, and I think just with it being summer and kind of warmer weather too, is definitely more, I would say, normal. I still get dry patches every now and then, but I think my skin is definitely more normal to combo-ish. I'm not nearly as oily as I used to be. And I don't usually get oily with the foundations that I like and that I wear. Like my skin naturally doesn't get oily throughout the day. Some foundations I'll review, I'll get a little bit shiny in these areas, but like naturally my skin doesn't just produce oil throughout the day, if that makes sense now. So I do think I'm just normal right now. So because this says this for combo or oily skin, I should get 0 shine with this throughout the day is my guess. So if you're excited for Foundation Friday and you enjoy while you're watching, you can give this a thumbs up. If you're new here, I upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. I also have a whole Foundation Friday playlist. If you want to watch other videos, I have hundreds of foundation reviews and foundation related videos down below. Okay, so when I'm starting this, it is 9:07. Really need to change my background so you can see that. It's 9:07 in the morning. I'm gonna shake this up. It sounds pretty liquidy. So we're gonna do half my face with a brush, Sigma F80, and then half with my Haley's Beauty Sponge. Shade looks promising. I'm gonna start out with a brush on this side of my face. So it says light coverage. So the thing with light coverage is that I like light coverage if it has a really skin-like, usually dewy finish, because I feel like if you have a matte light coverage, it looks more like you're wearing makeup, but then you're getting light coverage, so it kind of just defeats the purpose for me personally. If you have a really oily skin, I could see how, you know, something like a matte powder to finish would probably be, oh shit, I forgot to put on concealer. Okay, I'm gonna put on the concealer, under eye concealer first. Because I don't know how powder finish this is gonna get, I'm just gonna err on the, what's the saying? Err on the side of caution. I'm just gonna prevent that from happening and put a little bit of under eye concealer on first. So typically with light coverage, I don't like to powder my under eyes because it just, again, makes everything look more makeup-y. If I'm going for like a very natural light coverage look, I will usually just not powder my under eyes. And this is the Kosas concealer. This is awesome for days if you don't want to powder it. It stays on really well throughout the day. This was the concealer I was wearing when I did the Girl On video foundation review. I think that one will be up before this one. It looks a little bit patchy in some areas, but it could just be because the shade is definitely off. But like it looks like I have nothing here, and it's kind of like a ton right here, but I'm blending it. If this is long lasting and like pretty oil controlling, this could also be a product that you mix in with other foundations to make it more long lasting, especially if you have oily skin. If you have dry skin, you know, I'd say probably don't get this, probably don't mix it in with another foundation. I'm gonna use a sponge and just go over right here. Ooh. Uh-oh. Okay, it's looking real crappy right here, and I think maybe the moisture from the sponge just made that worse, so this might not be a damp sponge kind of one. Maybe I'll try a dry sponge. Just adding that back in because it basically like lifted it up. I'm gonna try a dry sponge instead. Oh, this is looking real crappy on my forehead, like between my eyebrows. Up here it looks okay. Right here where I do have some dryness, it definitely does not look great. Okay, just to see, for the sake of science, let's try this side with a damp sponge. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I feel like that's doing nothing. Like, I literally can't see anything. Okay, I'm gonna switch to a brush with this one because I think if you use a sponge, it's not even like sheer coverage. It's like nothing happening. I think it's just getting absorbed because it is more of like a thin liquidy consistency. You see how in some spots it just looks so patchy. This looks pretty bad. Patchiness, I don't think it's just because of the shade. I think it's just a very patchy foundation. It being too dark might be making it more obvious that it's patchy. Yeah, this looks real bad. Okay, I'm kind of deciding what we should do with this because right now I would definitely not ever wear this again and not recommend it just for the patchiness alone. Even if you have oilier skin, I think it just doesn't look great. Looks good on my upper lip. Oh my god, it looks so bad right here. It's a no off the bat. So because it's already a no and I have my thoughts on it already. Some foundations this just happens with where immediately you can just tell it's not gonna work. Even if I don't like the look of foundation, usually I'll keep it on the whole day, but there are exceptions like this foundation. I feel like it would be a more productive video and more helpful if I wash off my face and we start over and maybe I try mixing this with another foundation that I've already reviewed and that maybe I got a little bit shiny with, just so we can see if this kind of helps to control some of the shine throughout the day so that maybe you could use it in that way. So I think that would be more useful at this point. I'm gonna go wipe all this off and we're gonna start over. Okay, so the new start time is 9:19. The foundation I decided we're gonna mix this in with is the Danessa Myricks foundation because I recently reviewed this one and I like how this one looks other than the fact that it is just so extremely dewy, like very extreme. So I think this needs something to kind of tone it down and just make it last a little bit longer throughout the day on my skin. So I think the Bobbi Brown will hopefully be a good combo with that. We will see. If you missed this foundation Friday on the Danessa Myricks, I'll link it in the eye and down below, but basically I have a very light shade and then a very dark shade, so I kind of have to mix them, and then this one is a little bit dark, so we'll see if I get this foundation concoction correct today. I'm going to use a brush for my whole face because that is the way to go with both of these foundations. I'm going to mix a little concoction on the palette so that I can hopefully get the right shade. Okay, this shade is looking promising. Let me see on my face. Yeah, I think that looks good. Mixed up. I'm working kind of fast because I don't know if this Bobbi Brown is going to make the other one kind of set down faster, so I just want to get it on there. Okay, that's looking pretty. It looks like a kind of satin dewy finish with it, so it does look like it's a little bit more mattified than without the Bobbi Brown. Go watch that video, but it is super dewy, and I have worn the Danessa Myricks in between when I filmed that and when I'm filming this one. I've worn it twice now, but it is super dewy. The Danessa Myricks is full coverage, and this is definitely shearing it out quite a bit. The other way you could use the Bobbi Brown, I mean, I don't know if it's worth buying it just for that, but you could use it as kind of a oil controlling product underneath whatever foundation you put on. All right, here's the true test. I'm scared for the forehead. Danessa Myricks on its own looks good on my forehead. Okay, it looks better than the Bobbi Brown on its own, but it's definitely still looking textured right there in that same spot. Not nearly as bad, but I can see it. I'm going to try and use the sponge since I have the other one mixed in now and just, let's see. This usually does the trick for me if I have foundation that's looking not great right there. It kind of just smooths it all out. I have foundations that look way better right here than what this gum was looking like, but everywhere else it's looking really good. I think mixed in, the patchiness isn't quite as noticeable, but I still feel like it looks a little patchy. Do you guys see that? I don't know. Not horrible mixed in, but I do think it's still there. Okay, I'm gonna put the rest of my makeup on and then give some thoughts, but right now it is 9:25, so I'll be back in a second. Okay, so it's now 9:47, but we're calling the check-in time at 9:30, and I did use all cream products again today. I don't have any powder on my face because I do want to see how this controls, and like you guys know, I usually don't like powder anyways. So to the touch, it doesn't feel like this gave a powder finish to the other foundation, so It doesn't look as patchy as what I can see on camera when I was just looking in natural light, so I always show you guys a shot in natural light too, so we'll do that in a second, but I can't totally see it in natural light. It just looks kind of still patchy to me in this lighting. But the overall finish, especially here down, I think looks nice with those two mixed. I still don't love it right in this area. Much better mixed in so far. We'll see if it's worth, you know, buying this to mix in. It is a $40 product, so it'd have to be basically like a great kind of oil controlling mixing product in order for it to be worth it, in my opinion. So we will see if there's any difference with this one. It also did definitely sheer off this foundation. I feel like overall my face right now looks like about medium coverage, which normally the Danessa is full coverage, so it did sheer it out. But the makeup on the rest of my face, for bronzer, I used this Jordana Golden Sheen. I'm obsessed with this right now. It's the Dust Cloud Paint from Glossier. And then for highlight, I use this, which, oh my god, I think this was one of the first products I ever purchased from a YouTube video. I bought it because of Shane XO. Definitely inspired. It's the Jemma Kidd Makeup School Iced Gold Cream Highlight. I am so obsessed with this eyeshadow palette. It's the ColourPop Aura and Out, and this was part of their tie-dye collection. You guys, this blue shade is just unreal. This is without a white base on underneath, like just the blue. It is probably the prettiest sky blue shade I've ever found. I did a whole video on my favorite pastels and neons that I'll link in the eye down below. This is a great one. I put the ColourPop Big Splash Liner on my waterline and kind of brought it down below. Then I put a little bit of the Urban Decay Pyro Heavy Metal Liner, glitter liner, just on my inner corner right there. And then for lips, I used NARS Belle de Jour with this Catrice Voluminizing Lip Boost. We'll see how this one wears throughout the day with the Bobbi Brown mixed in, but let's go see what this looks like in natural lighting. All right, so here we are in natural lighting. It still looks extremely glowy, even with the Bobbi Brown foundation mixed in. Like, look around here, it just looks quite shiny. I think that Danessa foundation is one of the dewiest that exists. It's extreme. Oh, they're starting. That was good timing. There they go. But I will see you guys in a few hours back in natural lighting for the next check-in. All right, I took my hair out of the tight ponytail up there because it was getting a little tight, but it is now 3:54, so the foundation's been on for, what, a little over 6 hours now? So I have looked at my face a few times. I think it actually looks worse with this mixed in than it did before. I'm still getting exactly as shiny too. I think the foundation just looks better without this mixed in. It is looking a little bit just cakey and, I don't know, just overall, and just not as great as the Danessa looks on its own. Yeah, I don't really think it's doing anything as far as the shine. It seems to be almost looking like oilier and just worse. 90% sure this isn't doing anything. Some of the reviews were gnarly. I was just reading the reviews because whenever I have foundation like this where I'm like, oof, let me just see what other people are saying, I'll go and look at the reviews. I never do it before I film. It does seem like some people are having similar experiences to me. And I also saw Kathleen's video and it looked crappy on her skin, and she has perfect skin with like no texture, and foundations usually look great on her. So yeah, I think this one is just a big thumbs down. I will keep it on for a few more hours. We'll see at the end of the night and I'll check in with you guys. Here's the alarm for this check-in. Whenever we get to like the end of the video or even the middle check-in, I can't bother with everything going on. Let's just wrap this up. Didn't do anything. Moral of the story. Yeah, I don't think this controlled oil or shine at all. Things are not looking good in the neighborhood. I feel like it looks super patchy too, which is, you know, what I noticed from the get-go, but even more so now. I'm still gonna try the Danessa Myricks one with different products under and over because this was just mixing a different foundation. I didn't, you know, try any different primers or anything. And I will update you guys in the next foundation update video on that. As far as the Bobbi Brown, definite no. I don't think it does anything for 40 bucks. Definite no. Even for $5, I would say no. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's Foundation Friday. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, I upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.